nationalism. 20th century nationalism was a driving force behind wars, revolutions, and the collapse of empires. After World War I, the breakup of the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and Russian empires created new nation-states across Europe and the Middle East, each seeking cultural and political consolidation. National grievances and territorial ambitions helped fuel the rise of extremist movements, contributing directly to World War II through Nazi expansionism and Japanese imperialism. After 1945, nationalism took on a new form as waves of decolonization swept Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, with dozens of colonies declaring independence and constructing national identities. During the Cold War, nationalism shaped conflicts such as the division of Korea, India-Pakistan tensions, and Arab-Israeli struggles. In Europe, nationalist movements influenced the breakup of Yugoslavia and the Soviet Union at the century's end. Throughout these shifts, nationalism remained a powerful force reshaping borders, identities, and global politics. Liberalism. In the 20th century, liberalism was defined less by abstract principles and more by major political developments across Western Europe and the United States. Early in the century, liberal governments expanded democratic participation, most notably through women's suffrage, which spread from Britain and the US to much of the Western world after World War I. After World War II, liberal democracies took the lead in rebuilding Europe, founding institutions like the United Nations, NATO, and the European Economic Community. In the US, liberal political pressure fueled the civil rights movement, dismantling segregation and expanding protections for minorities. By the 1960s and 1970s, a new generation of activists, known as the New Left, challenged traditional liberal politics through anti-war protests, student movements, and demands for racial, gender, and cultural liberation. Throughout the century, liberal states positioned themselves against fascist regimes, and later the Soviet Union, shaping global geopolitics. Socialism. 20th century socialism took shape through major political movements, labor struggles, and efforts to reform industrial societies. After World War I, socialist parties gained influence across Europe, pushing for workers' rights, public ownership, and expanded welfare programs. The Great Depression further strengthened socialist and labor movements as economic collapse exposed weaknesses in unregulated capitalism. After World War II, Western Europe saw the rise of powerful social democratic governments, particularly in Britain, Scandinavia, and Germany, which built welfare states, nationalized key industries, and created universal healthcare systems. Socialism grew in the developing world as well, influencing anti-colonial leaders who adopted state-led economic models during decolonization. In the United States, socialism remained marginal, but left a lasting imprint through the labor movement, the New Deal legacy, and later activism connected to the New Left. By the late 20th century, many socialist parties moderated toward mixed economies, though debates over inequality and public welfare continued to define their role. Communism. Communism shaped much of 20th century history through revolutions, wars, and ideological confrontation. Its rise began with the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, which created the Soviet Union and inspired communist movements worldwide. Throughout the 1920s and 1930s, the USSR underwent rapid industrialization, forced collectivization, and political purges under Stalin. After World War II, communism expanded dramatically as the Soviet Union established control over Eastern Europe, and China fell to Mao Zedong's forces in 1949, leading to the world's two largest communist states. The ideology drove major conflicts, including the Korean War, Vietnam War, and numerous revolutionary movements in Cuba, Africa, and Southeast Asia. During the Cold War, communism stood as the primary rival to Western liberal democracy, shaping global alliances and proxy wars. By the late 1980s, economic stagnation and public unrest led to the collapse of communist regimes in Eastern Europe, followed by the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. Fascism. Fascism emerged after World War I amid economic collapse, national humiliation, and fear of socialist revolutions. Its first major breakthrough came in Italy, where Benito Mussolini seized power in 1922, establishing a one-party dictatorship built on mass rallies, censorship, and aggressive nationalism. The ideology reached its most extreme form in Nazi Germany, where Adolf Hitler rose to power in 1933, using propaganda, racial ideology, and state terror to reshape society. Fascist regimes pursued expansion through military aggression, Italy and Ethiopia, Germany across Europe, and Japan and Asia, directly triggering World War II. These movements also carried out systematic repression, most notably the Holocaust, which resulted in the genocide of 6 million Jews and millions of others. After the Axis defeat in 1945, fascism collapsed across Europe, but its legacy shaped post-war politics, denazification efforts, and the formation of democratic institutions designed to prevent authoritarian revival. Conservatism. 20th century conservatism evolved in direct response to rapid social and political changes across the Western world. After World War II, conservatives in the US and Western Europe supported strong institutions, Cold War containment, and market economies, but it was the cultural upheavals of the 1960s that reshaped the movement most dramatically. As the New Left pushed anti-war protests, sexual liberation, student revolts, and sweeping social reforms, many conservatives saw these shifts as signs of moral decay and a breakdown of traditional values. This sparked new grassroots mobilization, including religious activism, suburban political organizing, and the defense of family structures. By the late 1970s, this backlash helped fuel the rise of leaders like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, who combined economic liberalization with strong appeals to law, order, and social stability. Their victories marked a major conservative resurgence that defined Western politics for the rest of the century. Pan-national. Pan-ideological movements in the 20th century sought to unite people across national borders through shared cultural, ethnic, or religious identities. Pan-Arabism gained momentum after World War I and peaked in the 1950s and 1960s under leaders like Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser, promoting Arab unity against colonial influence and Western intervention. Pan-Africanism emerged as a major force during decolonization, inspiring independence movements and later contributing to the formation of the Organization of African Unity in 1963. Pan-Slavism played a role in both world wars and later influenced nationalist tensions in the Balkans. Meanwhile, Pan-Islamism resurged in the late 20th century, especially after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, encouraging political cooperation among Muslim-majority societies. Zionism, another significant transnational movement, culminated in the establishment of Israel in 1948. These movements shaped regional conflicts, independence struggles, and new state formations, leaving a lasting impact on global political dynamics. International. 20th century internationalism grew out of efforts to prevent global conflict after two world wars. The first major attempt, the League of Nations, emerged after World War I, but failed to halt rising militarism. After World War II, international cooperation was rebuilt through stronger institutions such as the United Nations, the World Bank, the IMF, and early European integration projects. During the early Cold War, the Truman Doctrine briefly reinforced this trend by encouraging coordinated support for nations resisting communist expansion, tying international cooperation to broader security commitments. The post-war decade saw the creation of NATO, expanded global trade networks, and the rise of multilateral diplomacy. Decolonization brought dozens of new states into the international system, significantly enlarging the UN and reshaping global debates. By the century's end, internationalism had become a defining feature of globalization, promoting interconnected economies, diplomatic engagement, and collective responses to global challenges. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Join my membership club because you can vote on future videos and you can join my Discord. First link in the description.